There is a growing debate as to whether persons of faith should be engaged in politics. The disagreement is as old as the scriptures. Israel has always imagined that the Messiah would be a warrior king who would deliver the people from their enemies. A preacher on the radio was explaining why he wasn't political. He criticized both the religious left and religious right for bending biblical concepts to fit their political views. He observed that both sides can be wrong or right on any given issue. The religious left promotes ideas that are perceived on the right to be socialism. Social programs can be just and moral. How they are funded and implemented is often the issue. The biblical view is that people are expected to work hard, earn a living, provide for their family, and set aside a portion to help a neighbor in need. In ancient days, when Israel had no earthly government, the people clamored for a king. They wanted to be like all the other nations. Samuel, who was both a prophet and a judge, warned the people what it would be like to be ruled by a king. The king would take their sons and daughters. He would take the best of their fields and livestock. He would tax their labor and property, and they would become slaves, working only to serve the king. Under the priesthood, Israelites paid a 10% tithe. There was also a temple tax, equivalent to 2 days of labor, to support maintenance of the temple. The tax burden was very low. During the period of the kings, taxes became so burdensome that the kingdom split into two. To put it in perspective, Americans have to work over 100 days a year to pay their taxes. All of your earnings from January through early April are confiscated by the government. While social programs may be in alignment with biblical principles, the financing of these programs is immoral. The biblical view is that the worker should keep most of their earnings. You need to be self-supportive, able to provide for your family, not be dependent on welfare, while setting aside a portion to help widows and orphans. The Bible is very specific on this matter. It certainly doesn't promote the idea of a bloated welfare state. Socialist governments want more of your money. They can't take enough, nor can they spend enough of what you earned. That is immoral. We must also consider that the government spends our money on programs that we may not approve of. For instance, the killing of unborn babies. Government of men is inherently evil. Some systems, like our constitutional republic, are less evil than others. But even the American system is surrendering to a Marxist worldview that opposes fundamental biblical principles. George Barna released a survey examining Christianity in America. He found that 20% of confessing Christians support socialism. They are the religious left who believe that government welfare is moral. What they don't understand, or simply choose to ignore, is that socialism has to be imposed. Unlike capitalism, which operates within the precept of freedom, socialism's inherent goal is fascism or communism. Kamala Harris wants to impose price controls on grocers. That will not lower the price of groceries. Grocers will not sell products at a loss. They will simply choose not to stock the shelves. But to the point of this article that Jesus was not a communist. In Matthew 20 verses 1 to 16, Jesus told his disciples a parable about a landowner who hired workers to work in his vineyard. Those who were hired early in the morning agreed to work for a denarius, which was equal to minimum wage. Throughout the day, the landowner hired more workers, even to the late afternoon. As was customary, the landowner paid each of the workers at the end of the day, but there was a dispute. The workers who were hired first protested that the landowner paid everyone the same wage, even those who only worked an hour. Let's pause for a moment to consider that there were no union bosses in those days to incite and organize the workers. Unions, however, would become a hallmark of Marxism. So, what did Jesus say? I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take what is yours and go your way. I wish to give to this last man the same as to you. Is it not lawful for me to do what I wish with my own things? Communists don't believe in private property rights. They blast corporations for their hiring practices and pay scale. The government even mandates a minimum wage. In California, the communists ordered restaurants like McDonald's to pay their workers $20 an hour. To cut costs, workers were laid off and prices were raised. Workers who had been earning better than minimum wage were now out of a job, and lower income earners could no longer afford a drive-through hamburger. The government was telling these businesses that they don't have the right to set their wages. This is communistic. On a side note, California's Governor Gavin Newsom is part owner of a cafe and winery that is exempt from the $20 edict. During the lockdown, when Californians were ordered to wear masks and stay at home, Newsom was caught at a restaurant in Napa Valley. During the closure of public schools, Newsom's children attended a ritzy private school where tuition costs $60,000 per year. Yet, Democrat elites don't want to extend school choice to the rest of us. They only support choice when it comes to abortion. The bottom line is that communists are hypocrites, and Jesus was not a communist. I'll talk more next time about how the religious left is deceived.